The world has seen many wars, but sometimes a single conflict has the potential to ignite something much bigger, something global, something unstoppable. Today, rising tensions between the United States and Iran are once again pushing the world toward a dangerous edge, where one wrong decision, one missile, one retaliation could change history forever. In February 2026, the Middle East witnessed a dramatic escalation when the United States and Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iranian targets in a military campaign, later known as Operation Lion's Roar. The operation targeted Iranian military facilities and strategic locations in Tehran and other cities, with officials claiming the goal was to weaken Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities. Iran, however, viewed the strikes as an act of aggression and responded quickly. Within hours, missiles and drones began flying across the region as Iran launched retaliatory attacks toward Israeli territory and U.S. bases in the Middle East. Some of these strikes reached neighboring countries, with missiles and drones intercepted in places like Kuwait as the conflict spread beyond Iran itself. What initially appeared to be a limited strike soon began to resemble the start of a much larger war. At the center of global concern is the Strait of Hormuz, a narrow but critically important waterway through which nearly 20% of the world's oil supply passes each day. As tensions escalated, shipping traffic slowed and global energy markets reacted immediately, highlighting how quickly a regional conflict could ripple across the entire world. Oil prices surged, stock markets trembled, airlines canceled flights, and the world economy felt the shock because when war reaches the Persian Gulf, the consequences rarely stay local, yet the greatest fear is not just oil disruption, but escalation. The Middle East is not simply a battlefield between two countries. It is a region shaped by complex alliances, rivalries, and powerful interests. The United States maintains military bases across the region and counts Israel among its closest allies, while Iran has ties with powerful partners and regional groups of its own. If these alliances begin to activate, a regional war could rapidly expand into something far larger. Military analysts often warn that conflicts in the Middle East rarely remain contained, and within days of the 2026 strikes, tensions and fighting had already begun spreading across multiple countries in the region. History has repeatedly shown how quickly local wars can turn global. In 1914, the assassination of an archduke triggered World War I, and within weeks, alliances had drawn nations across Europe into the conflict. A similar pattern appeared in World War II, when conflicts that began with invasions in Europe and Asia eventually involved nearly every major power on Earth. This raises a pressing question today. Could the same thing happen again? Could a war between the United States and Iran pull other global powers into the conflict? Some experts believe it is possible, especially in a world that is deeply interconnected. A war in the Persian Gulf could disrupt global energy supplies, destabilize international markets, and force major powers to choose sides. Meanwhile, the battlefield itself is evolving. Modern conflict is no longer limited to the sky or the ground. It also unfolds in cyberspace. Hackers linked to different sides have already launched cyber operations, targeting infrastructure and communication networks. And cyber warfare has the potential to disrupt banking systems, power grids, and even military command networks. If a global conflict were to emerge today, it would not resemble the wars of the past. It would likely be faster, more technological, and potentially far more destructive. Another terrifying factor in the conflict is the possibility of nuclear weapons. Iran's nuclear program has been a major source of tension for years, with Western governments concerned that Iran could eventually develop nuclear weapons capability, while Iran maintains that its program is intended for peaceful purposes. However, if nuclear weapons were ever introduced into this conflict, the consequences could be catastrophic. A single nuclear exchange would not just affect the Middle East. It could reshape the entire planet, with cities potentially disappearing, economies collapsing, and millions of lives being lost. Fortunately, many analysts still believe a full global war is unlikely, as even during intense confrontations, world leaders often try to avoid crossing certain red lines. Diplomacy, negotiations, and international pressure can sometimes stop escalation before it spirals out of control. Still, the danger remains, because history shows that wars often begin not because leaders deliberately want them, but because events spiral beyond anyone's control. One miscalculation, one mistaken radar signal, or one accidental strike could suddenly push the world toward a conflict unlike anything seen in modern history. So could a war between the United States and Iran start World War III? The honest answer is that no one knows for sure. What is certain, however, is that in a world filled with complex alliances, advanced weapons, and rising tensions, even a regional war has the potential to reshape the entire planet. As the situation continues to evolve, the world is watching carefully, because sometimes history changes faster than anyone expects.